us every happy, happy living thing. In the cheerful spring. In the cheerful spring. In time of silver rain, the earth puts forth new life again. Green grasses grow and flowers lift their heads, and over all the plain the wonder spreads of life, of life, of life. In time of silver rain, the butterflies lift silken wings to catch a rainbow cry, and trees put forth new leaves to sing in joy beneath the sky, as down the roadway, passing boys and girls go singing too. In time of silver rain, when spring and life are new. Please join now in saying the words to accompany lighting our chalice. There are times when we fear the dark. Therefore, let there be light. And let us be guided through the dark by the light of hope, the warmth of love, and the beacon of purpose and meaning. As you have heard over and over for the past week or so, we have passed the one-year mark of pandemic sequestering. This is something that was written by the Universalist and then Unitarian Universalist poet and minister Max Kutz. When anniversaries arrive, by calendar or consciousness, when seasons come, as seasons do, old and known, but somehow new. When lives are born or people die. When something sacred is sensed in soil or sky. Mark the time. So in today's service, we are marking the time. We are marking the arrival of spring. We acknowledge what we have endured and still face as we hope the pandemic wanes. We're going to offer you an opportunity to reflect with us on what is past and passing and to come. So right now, I invite you to find a piece of paper or two, a piece of paper you're willing to rip up, and something to write with. And you might also want to find a small pot or a bowl that will hold the words or pictures that you write on these scraps during the service. A few years ago, Kim Wolfson wrote some words to the tune of a song from Ferry Beach, which is a UU summer retreat center on the coast of Maine. Kim not only rewrote the words, which we heard I think we heard this a few years ago, and then she recently updated the song to acknowledge the pandemic experience, and a few of our UU uke players recorded it. So we're going to hear that now. We'll put the words in the chat. Feel free to sing along or just listen with pleasure as you look for your paper and your bowl and your pencil.
On Zoom each week we gather with some UUs. In breakout rooms we talk with folks who care. We always find so many kindred spirits who welcome us and everyone who's there. We're friends meeting on Zoom today. We work in a social distance way, despite our anxiety. We're still a strong and tight community. We strive to make our earth a little better. Climate action for the land and sea. We work side by side for social justice, to create a world that's peaceful, fair, and free. We're friends meeting on Zoom today. We work in a social distance way, despite our anxieties. We're still a strong and tight community. We keep on caring for our lovely planet. We're connected to all living things you see. We're all on the side of love together. United, strong, and loving we will be. We're friends meeting on Zoom today. We work in a social distance way, despite our anxieties. We're still a strong and tight community. We're still a strong and tight community.
And now it's time for us to greet one another. You're invited to turn on your videos, wave and say hello in the chat. And if you are new or newish and would like to, please say hello and tell us where you're from.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, Susie. This is Susie. Susie's an experienced Zoom tech host in other venues, but this is her first time doing it with us. So thank you, Susie, for joining the team. Good morning, everyone. Lovely to see you all. Sarah Hillier, nice to see you. Celia, hello. Kieran, Kisa, Kate, hi. Welcome, welcome. Ellen, it's great to see you again from Florida. Lyra and Stephanie, we're going to see you again. Peggy, it's great to see you. Who else is there? Lots of people behind those names. I'm glad to see you too. All right. Hi, Amaya. Hi, Aaron. Good to see you. Hi, Judy Harwood. I think your daughter's up next. So let's say goodbye to each other, and we will turn off our videos and move on to the next part of our service.
So, as many of you are probably aware, yesterday was the first day of spring, and it felt like it. So it's been nice to see these glimmers of spring coming, the warmth, the sap filling our buckets, longer days, the cacophony of new bird calls. But for many of us, this entire past year has felt pretty dark, sort of like winter lasted from last March till right now. It's been a year of cold, inactivity, loneliness, as we've been dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. Most of us have been stuck in our homes, away from each other, wrapped tight in a protective shell like a seed. Seeds spend the winter underground in the dark. Can you feel that pressure of the soil all around, the isolation of being a lone seed? Do you feel like you've survived a year-long winter? So we do want to start today with that feeling of darkness, to acknowledge how hard this past year has been and how hard it still is. The poet and essayist Mary Karr wrote, "If you live in the dark a long time and the sun comes out, you do not cross into it whistling. There's an initial uprush of relief at first. Then, for me anyway, a profound dislocation. My old assumptions about how the world works are buried, yet my new ones aren't operational. Through this service, we're moving towards emergence, celebrating the changes and hope of spring. But we need to take it slow to avoid dislocation." So we're going to start our ritual now, honoring and acknowledging the cold, hard places we've experienced. So if you've got paper, pens, or pencil, and a bowl or a basket, what we're going to start with is taking a moment to allow yourself to sink into the hardnesses of this year, the cold, dark ground, remembering all the changes, remembering all the things you've missed out on, the things that you've lost. You may not need to remember them. They may be very present on your brain as you think of what you've been grieving. As much as we try to ignore these feelings, they're there, waiting to be acknowledged. So we're going to start taking a time to lament. So in picture, word, or acknowledgement, either on your paper or you could speak it out into the air, think about what are some of the things that you're grieving right now, grieving of this past year. And Lemmy will play while you take some time to just feel the loss and feel that sadness. in that dark, cold ground, the seed does begin to grow roots, reaching out for nutrients, reaching out for connection. And we've had some amazing innovation happen over this year. Learning and interacting online has never felt the same as in person, but there have been some really cool things that have happened. And next, we want to share some neat ways that our young people have used our online interactions. So our elementary class is a group of animal lovers, and we've spent the last few weeks learning about local endangered species, how to care for animals, and thinking about how we're part of an interdependent web in the earth. So using the magic of Zoom, they created a video to honor spring, animals, and taking care of the environment. You're also about to see a video that Lemmy edited together of children and junior youth playing their stringed instruments. So even though they're isolated and you can't play music together on Zoom, you'll be able to see them all playing together. And these are truly simple gifts. We also have a youth grouper who's going to share a lovely poem that he wrote about spring and the animals in it.
He likes to call my back porch home, safe underneath a wooden dome, unwilling to go out too far, lest he be lunch for wolves who roam. The winter's not a time for him to venture when the light is dim. The owls will likely take advantage if he goes out on a limb. In summer, days are much too warm for him to leave his wooden dorm. Besides, to journey out and have the kitty chase him is a norm. He'll peek his head out once or twice, in autumn if the weather's nice, but other woodchucks tell him he should rest, and he takes their advice. But then in spring the time has come, he's surely seen my mom's green thumb in action, so no longer glum, he quickly eats some basil, yum. He takes a chance and steals some tomatoes, but he's not a dumb woodchuck, so he makes like a drum and beats it back to where he's from.
Now, Susie has put some links, if you are so moved, to make a contribution this week to our weekly offering. That would be very much appreciated. As many of you know, we share our offering 50-50 between the work of the society and other organizations that have been chosen by our coordinating council for the rest of this year. The names of the organizations are there. We also encourage donations to support Arita and her family, and Susie put that link in the chat as well. And now our slideshow this morning includes Cam's poem, some other poems that some of you have contributed, short poems that some of you had contributed, and many, many pictures that represent to you something about what is emerging. And now we will enjoy our offertory music.
Social justice minute.
He's not here.
Buried deep in this dark soil, there's also a sense of safety, of comfort, of protection. This ground is familiar, it's constant, it's home. For all that we've lost and mourned, there are also surprises that we've gained, new ways we've stretched towards the light. Sometimes it's the challenges that bring the greatest growth. As you think back on this year, how did these challenges offer new opportunities? Did you grow new roots, find new connections and inspirations, even in the dark? Did you join in election work? Have you deepened your commitment to racial justice? Have you met new people through online connections, strengthened family ties? Have you been able to ask for and receive the help you needed? Have you offered help to others? What new things did you discover? How have you used this time to align more with what matters to you? What have you learned about this interdependent web of life of which we are all a part? So now you may want to jot down a few more notes or two as our seed feels confident in its roots and starts to stretch for the light. We'll spend a moment in silence.
Sensing the light, feeling the soil begin to get warmer, with roots for stability. The seed breaks open, a sprout bursts out and moves toward the light. When it emerges, its first proto-leaves, which are called cotyledons, appear. This is a poem by Antonio Machado called Reaching for the Light. Last night as I was sleeping, I dreamt, marvelous error, that a spring was breaking out in my heart. I said, along which secret aqueduct, O water, are you coming to me, water of a new life that I have never drunk? Last night as I was sleeping, I dreamt, marvelous error, that I had a beehive here inside my heart, and the golden bees were making white combs and sweet honey from my old failures. Last night as I was sleeping, I dreamt, marvelous error, that a fiery sun was giving light inside my heart. It was fiery because I felt warmth as from a hearth. The sun because it gave light and brought tears to my eyes. Last night as I slept, I dreamt, marvelous error, that it was God I had here inside my heart. What's inside your heart? What image is there? What is stirring in you as you begin to imagine emerging from being isolated, emerging from the cold, moving towards the light? What is lying in the fire and warmth of your heart? We invite you now to take just a minute to write or draw something that is giving you hope, something you're looking forward to, something that is emerging for you during this time of transition and change.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Baird, and I'm going to be speaking a little bit about what is emerging for me. So first, let me start with what is not emerging. Is better, more improved patients emerging? No. Have I and 7 million people had to be patient for all kinds of things this past year? Yes. Have I learned to enjoy these experiences of patience? Maybe a couple. Yes, I have added daily meditation and or yoga nidra practice that helps pass the time. Yes, I have enjoyed some midweek lunches with my family at our kitchen table. Yes, I have enjoyed hiking with my daughter Lyra on beautiful, new to me, local hikes last spring and summer. Those things are all perfectly wondrous experiences. However, I often daydreamed about going into hibernation or stasis, just like that black bear, and waking up when things were back to normal. In fact, I think my wishing that time would pass quickly actually made my perception of time speed up, thankfully. But all joking aside, as someone who relishes the freedom, and I know which is a very American privilege, freedom to spend time outside the home traveling and exploring all that cafes and places like Portsmouth and Montreal have to offer, like 20 different ways to order your chai, this human found this year very difficult to endure. I still don't like being told what to do or what I cannot do. I don't enjoy waiting, but I will always follow science directives, which have emerged even more clearly. On the positive, alongside the tears that regularly emerged about all the losses humanity has endured, Frequent daily gratitude also emerged, as I'm very grateful that none of my close people have had bad COVID cases and that my husband, Ben, and my own livelihoods have remained intact, although over a video screen, from which literal pains in the neck have emerged. I am grateful that USNF services and RE have been a constant, predictable presence for myself and Lyra, and I was happy to see the environmental benefit emerge from this less human activity. What else is emerging is that I've come to deeply understand that I, and I think all humans, even the extremely extroverted ones like myself, need both quality alone time and in-person connection to recharge. Alone time has been very hard to come by in this house, a really hot commodity. And I've also felt a bit feral. Thus, I look forward to emerging re-socialized as more in-person activities gradually resume. I even look forward to being in a USNF committee meeting in the basement, patiently listening to members debate safety protocol, signage, or some other matter, big or small, that affects our spiritual community together and away from my house. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
From a tiny seed buried in the cold and dark, a flower will grow. Blossoms appear. John O'Donohue, the Irish poet, writer, wrote, "In out-of-the-way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge. For a long time it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered. Heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondered, would you always live like this? We will not always live like this, you and I. We will not always live as we have been living for the past year. It may take longer than we would like. We just don't know. One of the things that I think has emerged for me is the ability to say and accept we just don't know. Out of the dark, the sorrow, the stirrings, and the missteps, the learning and growing, something new is growing. Some things have flowered. Others will continue to flower. I want to thank Jessica particularly this morning for the beautiful illustrations she made and for the idea of the shape of this service. One of the things that I think has emerged for both of us is growth and deepening of our collaboration together in serving all of you and in particularly in providing these multi-gen worship services. I invite you now to take a look in your bowl or your pot or whatever you've written on the piece of paper. What will you do with the sorrows, the stirrings, the dreams, and the plans? What is emerging for you? What will you create? You might want to take those paper scraps with you into a quiet place, into a quiet time of meditation or prayer or reflection. If you're somebody who keeps a journal sometimes, regularly, once a year, you might want to copy the words or the pictures there or paste them in. You might want to write more about them. And then, maybe right after the service today, maybe later, you will sprinkle them into your recycling bin or add them to your compost. I hope something here, something you've written, something you've heard has offered you insight about how you have changed or about how you want to emerge. I hope that something in them has touched your heart in our time together today. And now let's sing together the beautiful hymn, Rising Green. In time of sun and silver rain, the earth puts forth new life again. And all about us, now and in the days to come, may gratitude and wonder spread. Go in peace. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, wonderful singers.
In a few moments, we're going to begin our social hour, and you'll be invited into a small group. For those of you who are going to go out and enjoy this beautiful spring day, thank you for joining us this morning. And for those who are about to stay, look for your invitation shortly.